My opinions are, in life, have cash flow, and then own Bitcoin. First thing is invest in yourself. So whether you create a business or, and you've done that, right? You create a business, it's a high margin business, it generates an income, it affords you the opportunities to make investments and have a lifestyle, right? That's all that matters. For me, everything is all about the lifestyle token. That's what you live for, is your life. I don't live for my Bitcoin. The Bitcoin creates my life. So Bitcoin is becoming the world's strongest narrative, and it's only just started. The chart patterns alone all look like they're breaking. So this is very interesting. I've never seen this before in my life. Bitcoin is up 97 and the banks are down 30, right? That's 120% outperformance. This is incredible, showing Bitcoin versus every other major asset, including Amazon and Apple, right? They're all breaking down versus Bitcoin. Look, I've been in this game a long time. I've also studied history. I have never, ever seen an entire asset consume every single other asset in the world. I mean, it's extraordinary. And I think this is just the start, right? Okay, what does gold look like versus Bitcoin? Well, gold is breaking down versus Bitcoin. Then what does the NASDAQ look like? Because surely the NASDAQ must be outperforming. No, it's breaking down. What about the banks? Well, the banks, we've always talked about that Bitcoin's destroying the banks. Well, the banks are at all-time lows in Bitcoin price, using Bitcoin as the denominator. What about commodities? Well, if you use Bitcoin as the denominator, commodities are at all-time lows. Okay, what about Apple, Amazon, the G4 central bank balance sheets? That's been the most powerful asset in the world. No, Bitcoin's eating them all. There's a reflexive loop that's going to happen. It's so obvious. Is the US has approved custody of Bitcoin for certain banks, which is a code word for prime broking for hedge funds, which means the hedge funds will see this. Most of them haven't got custody yet, but soon they will. And that means that they will come into this space because they can trade multi-asset class. So that sucks them in. And I've talked about this. The next is the ETF will get launched at some point. Somebody will get it off the ground. And then all the RIAs buy it for their customers because it's outperforming everything and they love to be cheap and chase the trade. So this is going to be the strongest trade now. So you've got the hedge funds and the RIAs. We know the family office space is already interested, and they get sucked in the more the price goes up and the narrative goes up and more people talk about it. Family offices tend to do that. Endowment level are next because they can hold it because it's a long-term asset. So endowments can justify it earlier than pension funds can. Pension funds can't do this yet. It's quite difficult for them. So we've got this wall of money that I keep talking about that's coming. And if you throw in the public and the NASDAQ traders and the speculators and the Robin Hooders and everybody else, you've got a perfect storm. Unfortunately, and I've talked about this a few times recently, the crypto space is not very good at speaking the language of others. We tend to impose our own language. So the corporate treasurers will not buy Michael Saylor's language because it's not the language that they speak. They don't think in those terms. Yeah. Corporate treasurer may stay at Microsoft for 10 years and then leave. He doesn't think in the same, it wasn't his company, he didn't build it. So we need to talk about how it works as a diversified asset, how it works in a corporate treasury portfolio of fixed income, commercial paper, currency baskets, all of the things that they do. We need to talk that language and show them. Once you do that, Microsoft and Apple and all these other massive cash businesses will own it. Of course they will, because it's a great asset for diversification and they don't need to buy too much of it. The pension system, okay, that's another beast. Again, everyone's like, they should do this. Well, until you can show it to them in Barra models. Barra is the model by which most of the pension industry builds their portfolio and risk management tools. But we're not talking that language. So it's like you shouting at me in French and me just shouting back in English louder, saying, I can't understand you. That's what's going on because they can't do anything with this. They've got a bearer asset, they don't know how to custody, that we're not telling them how it works from a portfolio diversification or risk metrics standpoint. So we'll get there, and I've already been starting to beg people who understand the Barra world to say, listen. And now who owns that pension fund asset allocation world is consultants like Mercer. We need to get them across the line. You need to teach them about it first, then they go to the pension fund trustees, and then the pension fund trustees approve it for the asset allocators. That's a big process. The brave go first. I mean, good on him, right? Because he was in a position that he could, and he got it. and there's a few other people around that got it. But that will spread slowly, but it will come, because I know everybody's going to hate this, but the investment banks will get into this space and they know how to translate. They know how to speak to these other people. And that's a net beneficiary to the space, even though all of us want to protect it from the investment banks. But they can't screw with it, really, because it's distributed, it's not owned by them, nothing they can do with it. They can help create a derivative market around it, but that's coming anyway. There's nothing we can do to stop it because humans want leverage for some reason. Yeah, I mean, I've read the IMF papers, the BIS papers, the ECB, the Bank of England, and the Fed, and the Department of Justice, all their papers. Not one of them is saying, we need to stop this. They're all saying, let's make sure it's regulated, make sure the entities are regulated, and by the way, let's build digital currency systems because that's where we have to get to. And they've kind of acknowledged Bitcoin. It's like, yes, look, this was the great invention and we understand. They've got no reason to stop it because, I mean, the bloody foreign exchange markets trade $4 trillion a day. They don't care about Bitcoin. But what it was really interesting to them and taught them, okay, we need to move into a digital future. And good on them, they're doing it. Now, how they use it in the end, who knows? But I don't think Bitcoin's a problem. Talk to me when it's $10 trillion, and maybe they try. But in a globalized world, with something that moves around on the internet, it's almost possible to stop because somebody will allow it.